I believe if you turned your phone off and you turned your TV off and you went and talked to your neighbor next door who supports someone that you wouldn't normally support, you'd find out they're a pretty good person.
All right. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy? So,
Good.
I was just driving back from the dentist, so I got a little tooth work, and when you're in the dental chair, you got time to just think about things, and the drive. I went to Troy, Illinois, to Troy Family Dental over there because I just love them, and it's worth the hour drive. I mean, The experience is great, right? So, I'm in the chair and I'm, driving back, and I was thinking about perspective, because how we learn the best is by physically doing it or emotionally going through it. Right?
I would agree, yeah.
Yeah, because like, Mark, I can tell you all day, hey, the stove's hot, don't touch it. And you're going to know stove's hot, don't touch it. Right? But you'll still touch it.
To see how hot it is, maybe.
It might be on accident.
Right.
But still touch it. But once you do it once, what's going to happen?
Then, for certain.
You are paying attention like, man, don't get close to that stove when it's red because that sucker's hot.
In my line of work, you think that outside of Take 2 Minutes, I'm a CTO for a company. And what I always try to do is hire people who have past knowledge and proven past knowledge in certain areas of technology. So instead of hiring a technologist to do all things in technology, I make sure I hire someone who's really, really knowledgeable in networks, because I think if they have got 20 years of experience in networks, they're probably going to know networks pretty well. But then the programmer, the people who develop, is a different person. I don't expect to be the same person. I think this applies to when you meet people. I'm always looking to meet people who have knowledge in areas I don't have. And I think I hate to say I value those relationships more, but I think I'm more interested sometimes when I find somebody who has knowledge in something I don't have. I find more interest in communicating or talking to them, chatting with them about their area of knowledge, because I am then learning from someone who I feel like knows what they're talking about. And that always greatly interests me.
That makes that relationship more rich.
That's it. That's a good way of putting it. Yes.
Right? So what we tend to do, have you heard the term groupthink?
Go ahead and expand on it for me.
Groupthink is you surround yourself with like-minded people. So it's like an echo chamber. We're all going through life as a single player game, interacting with other people.
Right.
Now think about that. Like, that's really interesting, right? Because I only see the world from my view.
Correct.
You want to have a rich life. You want to really expand your knowledge. Man, you need to look at the world from everybody else's view around you. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but you need to be able to see it from their view.
It's funny you bring that up this morning, because ironically, just early this morning, I was reflecting on something I did this past weekend, and I hung out with a good old friend. And he is a very active person as far as his imagination. And I literally had a thought this morning, man, what it would be like to live a day in his head to see what because he seems like he's very sharp, very talented, has a lot going on, but we don't get to do that, right? We, as you said, we always live through our eyes and we don't get to experience. But sometimes I know I've always wished I would like to live a day in that person's shoes to see what goes on for them in a day. That'd be fantasy, but it's interesting thought.
It's super interesting. But here's the thing, Mark. Now you and I are, we're old men. Like we're the old men now. Like we just are. When we were growing up, people could have conversations with other people of opposing views and still be friends.
Yeah, that's less these days. I think there's less personal interaction with people. Like, when we grew up, you would go to a party or a place with many people, and you would have some of these discussions and disagreements, but face to face, and you would talk about it and move on. That doesn't happen as much anymore.
No, it doesn't. And then we start to seek out people who are like us, and we don't even want to I don't even want to have that conversation. man, that perspective from someone else just to challenge your thought. And it helps you see them as more nuanced.
So a slightly different topic real quickly. This conversation, I was also reflecting on a conversation I had yesterday about like-minded people, because we do seek out like-minded people. And I do that all the time. I'm definitely guilty of that, trying to find like-minded people to relate with. And I found someone yesterday who was like-minded, but I think even in those situations, we could still learn a lot by conversations. And I'm going to give you an example. For Take 2 Minutes, yesterday, I was trying to engage with some writers to do some more article writing because, as you know, on the Take 2 Minute site, we have articles and stories which showcase authors. And it's hard. I don't know if you know this or not, but to find writers, it's not hard to find writers. It's hard to find quality writers, because when I do put a post out there saying I'm looking for writers, I'll get like 300 responses, right?
Sure.
And it's hard to go through and find the ones I think maybe have something valuable to add. Not that they don't all have something valuable to add, but I want someone who has something valuable to add for the Take 2 Minute site. Right. And this one girl reached out to me and messaged me personally, and she said, and this just struck my interest because it's right. It's like-minded, but she has some great experience that I don't have. And she said, I volunteered for a suicide prevention hotline, which is one of the most difficult and rewarding positions I've held. I loved it. We did extensive training, of course, and I worked overnight shift, which meant a lot of phone calls from those with severe depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. It was a remarkable drive home each night, feeling like you just saved someone's life. And I thought, this is someone I want to talk to. It's like-minded, right? I mean, because Take 2 Minutes is helping people. So it's not a big deviation, but still, she has a lot of perspective to give that I don't have necessarily, or I would like to expand upon. And so we had a great conversation. So that's a situation of still going with a like-minded person, but someone who can add more knowledge to myself through our conversations.
Right. We've got to get away from the polarizing thoughts and move ourselves more into that. Not necessarily gray, but I guess the word would be moderate. I don't, it seems like it's so, the pendulum swings. You're either this way or you're that way. That describes like 5% of people, man. And then if you say, are you this or what do you believe about this? One topic, oh, I know you. I don't want to have anything to do with you.
So maybe the moral here is have more conversations without getting incensed or upset about the conversation, and try to keep a level head and learn from others' perspectives.
Yeah, because it really is, because you'll be surprised. See, I believe more than anything, if you turned your phone off and you turned your TV off and you went and talked to your neighbor next door who supports someone that you wouldn't normally support, you'd find out they're a pretty good person.
Yeah.
I think we all agree on the problems. I think we differ on the solutions, but that's how great things change, Mark. Right? Because it's like, okay, here's the problem. How do we fix it? I don't want one idea. I want 20 ideas. Right? And of those 20, we're going to take a little bit from that idea and take a little bit from that idea and a little bit from that idea. Now we got a pretty good idea. Let's go fix it. But we don't even have the conversation anymore. We just shut it down, shout it down, shut you off. I know you. I don't want to talk to you. You're not my people. That's not what America is for, man. We are freedom. You're free to believe whatever you want and not be trampled on each other.
That's the idea, yeah.
Right. So I don't know, man. That was just on my heart today, and I really wanted to talk about it because, I think we missed that. I had a client come in yesterday. I have my podcast called Master of Circumstance, right? And he says, I think you need to change your name. I said, okay, well, wait, what again? Now, normally, what would normal people do? Nope, I already thought about it. I don't want to hear it. I'm like, yeah, what do you got? He says, in my world, you're my voice of reason. He said, so I think you need to change your podcast to the voice of reason.
Voice of reason, yeah.
I was like, that's interesting, because I do like that. I think we've got away from reason. We just attack. And I think what you said about being face to face, that changes your tone.
It does. Yes.
right? That changes your tone. Behind a keyboard, you can say anything and there's no consequence.
Exactly. I would agree completely.
Yeah, face to face, it's a little bit more uncomfortable. And back in our day, you might get punched in the face.
Yes.
Right? Nowadays, I don't know if that would happen, but like back in the day, it's like, man, you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, you're gonna get you'll learn that lesson. Boy, that stove is hot.
Yeah. A throwback. That's awesome.
That's right. Right? Like, woo, that is hot. Mark, I appreciate it. Guys, I hope this made a difference for you. And I hope this challenges your thinking a little bit. Because here at Take 2 Minutes, that's what we want to do. Right? We just want your life to be better. That's it. Right? That's why we give you all the tools, right? That's why we give you the grounding techniques. That's why we give you the 3 good things. That's why we give you the journal. That's why we want you to check in. We want to see what you're thinking so you can track what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, we want you to take 2 minutes and have a better day.
Well said. Well said. Thank you, Jamie.